Eleanor Walker had always been a woman of routine. At 52, she lived alone in a quaint townhouse in Manchester, her days blending into one another like an old melody on repeat. She worked as a librarian, cherished her tea at precisely 7 p.m., and had long since accepted the solitude of her life. That is, until one fateful morning when a letter arrived that shattered everything she thought she knew. The envelope was yellowed with age, the ink slightly smudged. No sender, just her name in delicate handwriting she hadn't seen in decades. She hesitated, her heart pounding. With trembling fingers, she opened it, revealing a single page filled with words that made her gasp. Eleanor, I have searched for you for years. There is so much I need to say, but most of all, I need to tell you the truth about the past. Please meet me at the Larkspur Cafe on Tuesday at 4 p.m. I will wait for you. Forever regretting Michael. Michael, the name hit her like a thunderclap. Her first love, the man she had lost 3 decades ago under circumstances she had never fully understood. He had disappeared without a trace, leaving her with unanswered questions and a heart that had never fully healed. She clutched the letter, emotions colliding, anger, confusion, and an aching curiosity. Should she go? Did she owe him that? After all these years, did it even matter anymore? But deep down, she knew the answer. She had to know. The Larkspur Cafe was nestled in a quiet corner of the city, its rustic charm unchanged over the years. Eleanor entered, her breath hitching as her eyes swept across the room. And then she saw him. Time had etched lines on his face, but his eyes, the same piercing blue, were unmistakable. He rose, his hand shaking slightly. Eleanor. She sat across from him, studying the man who had once meant everything to her. You have 2 minutes to explain why you left. He exhaled sharply. I didn't leave you, Eleanor. I was taken. Confusion flickered in her gaze. Taken? Michael's jaw tightened. Your father, he threatened me. He told me if I didn't disappear, he would destroy my family. My mother was sick. I had no choice. Her world tilted. My father, Michael nodded. He never wanted us together. He made sure I had no way back to you. Eleanor's hands clenched into fists. She had always known her father was controlling, but this, she had spent years believing she had been abandoned. Her heart ached for the life they could have had. Tears welled in her eyes. Why didn't you try to contact me sooner? I did. I wrote letters, called, even came back once, but you had moved. I thought you had moved on. Silence settled between them, heavy with years of pain and longing. Michael hesitated before reaching into his coat pocket. There's something else. He slid a second letter across the table. This is from your father. I found it years later. Hands trembling, Eleanor unfolded the paper, recognizing the bold strokes of her father's handwriting. Eleanor, if you are reading this, it means the truth has finally reached you. I did what I thought was best, but I see now that I was wrong. Michael loved you, and I took that from you. I don't expect forgiveness, but I hope one day you find happiness again. Your father, tears spilled onto the page. The man she had loved had never abandoned her. Her father had stolen years of happiness from them both. Grief and anger swirled within her, but beneath it all, a flicker of hope emerged. His eyes softened. That depends. Do you still believe in second chances? A lifetime of pain and longing met in that moment, and for the first time in years, Eleanor smiled. Maybe, just maybe, it wasn't too late after all. The following weeks were a whirlwind of emotions. Eleanor and Michael met often, sharing memories, filling in the blanks that had haunted them for years. They visited old places, parks where they had once walked hand in hand, libraries where they had studied together as young lovers. The more they talked, the more the years between them melted away. One evening, as they strolled along the river Irwell, Michael stopped. I need to tell you something else. Eleanor turned to him, sensing the weight in his voice. What is it? I never married. He looked at her, his expression raw. I never stopped loving you. A lump formed in Eleanor's throat. Michael, he reached for her hand, holding it as if afraid she would vanish. I know we can't turn back time, but we can choose the future. I don't want to waste another second without you. Tears slipped down her cheeks. She had spent so long believing love had passed her by, but here it was, standing in front of her, offering a second chance. I don't either, she whispered. And with that, the past no longer defined them. The pain was still there. The years lost would always linger, but they had today. They had a chance to write a new ending, one where love wasn't stolen but finally reclaimed. It was never too late for love.